Okay, we're going to try this. I'm going to walk through the notes with you, and then we'll go to the homework and we'll set them up together, and then I'll let you solve them and see if you can't, how you do. And then if you have any questions after that, you don't be afraid to shoot me an email, say I'm still not getting it. We'll try to figure it out. Okay, so from the notes here, so first off, let's go to the formula. Here's our formula, and here's your setup. These two capital letters here, P for principal, just think of that as always being my starting number. A is your account balance at the end, so that's your ending number. Your rate is always a decimal place. It's always a percentage, and you have to make it a decimal, so you have to move the decimal twice. And then T is the time. That's always in years. So we read this first one right off the bat. It says Joey is going to invest $5,000. So what would that be? Starting or ending? That'd be starting amount. So we put that $5,000 in for our P. Where his interest in an account where his interest rate will be compounded continuously, and again that compounded continuously just tells us to use that formula. How much money will he have after 2 years? Okay, so there's a time and it's in years, so we can plug in a 2. If he is receiving a rate of 3.1%, so we make that 0.031. Okay, and we put that in as our rate. Okay, then I would clean up this decimal. I'd multiply those two and you get 0.062. Now you should be able to find an E button on your calculator. Let me find mine real quick. If you have a calculator like mine, let me try to remember where it is. Okay, if you can see it, it's right here above the LN button. See it right there? So you'd have to hit second LN. Turn it on. Second LN, and then that pops up there like that. Then you could just put in that, what is it, 0.062. You could put in your 0.062 like that, close your parentheses, hit equals, and you get that number there. Then we would take that number times 5,000, and there's our $5,319.81. Okay, so first off, I want to make sure you can get this into your calculator correctly. If you enter it this way, let me show you. If you enter it separately as 0.031 times 2, if you kind of enter it like that, I don't know if the calculator would do what you want. I think it would just do e to the 0.031, get that answer, and then times by 2. That's not what we want. You'd be okay with this if you put parentheses around it. Okay, and then we times by 5,000. There's our 531981. So first off, to make sure that we're using that E button correctly. Okay. And problem number 2, Marcus had $67,000 in his account after 9 years. So that would be how much he has in his account after 9 years. So that's an ending amount. Okay. 9 years is our time. We can put that 9 in for T, and he gets 5.4% interest, so we use 0.054. I would just multiply those two together and get 0.486 right here. Now, don't get confused by this. Look and realize here's your variable P, and you're multiplying it by something. So how do we get that P by itself? You want to divide by that number, okay? Well, go ahead and punch this in your calculator and get 1.626, and then that's what you can divide by. And you figure out that he started off with $41,205.41, got 5.4% interest every year. So 9 years later, he ends up with a bigger amount, $67,000. Number 3, you got to be a little careful with the wording here. Let's see what we got. Local credit union is offering 4%, so we're going to make that 0.04 and plug it in for our rate. Compounded continuously. Okay, now here's where we got to be careful. To gain 1,000 on an initial investment of 10,000. So they're telling you right there what you're starting with. That's your P. But then what's this mean? Gain 1,000. It doesn't mean you have 1,000 over here. If you put 1,000 over here, you've lost 9,000. So if we're going to gain 1,000, if you started off with 10,000, that means you need to have 11,000 over here. Okay. Now what you got to notice about this one is we don't know the time. We got to figure out, it says how long will it take. So we got to figure out T. That variable is up in the exponent. Okay. So what do? Let's get this 10,000 out of the way, divide by it. I crossed off my zeros and got 11 over 10. There it is. and equal to 0.0 e to the 0.04t. So our variable is up in our exponent. So remember what we do. We want to get it on the ground. How do we get it on the ground? We take a logarithm of both sides. Now I'm not going to do log here. I'm going to do ln. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Okay, but first off, that allows me to move my exponent down out in front. So it'd be 0.04t times that natural log of e. Now here's why I did the natural log, ln, because it was an e. The natural log of e is the same as a log base e of e. And when these two are the same, it's equal to 1. So that means the natural log of e is equal to 1. And I can just cross it off. And over here, all I have is 0.04t. Okay. I type in natural log of 11 over 10 in my calculator. I did have to round it. I went a few decimal places on that. And then I divide by 0.04 and I get 2.38 years. Then here's what you do with that 2.38 years. Because we don't say 2.38 years. We say, 2 years and whatever. So that means we have 2 full years and we have 0.38 of a year. Well, a year is 12 months. So we take 0.38 times 12 and we get 4.56. So that means we have 2 years and 4.56 months, which we can, instead of saying 4.56, we can just call it 4.5 months. That's the answer I would put. Okay, but I would like for you to get one of these two answers. I don't want you to go one step further when you have 2.38 years. Okay. So that's the notes. Now let's go through the homework here, and we'll at least get them set up, and I'll let you do them. We'll read through them together. You can follow along. So number 1 here, let me get my paper straight. Larry has $5,000 in a CD at his local bank, earning 7.2% interest, compounded continuously. Again, when we see compounded continuously, that tells us we use PERT. How long will Larry have to wait until he has $3,000 more, okay, than what he started with? So he's starting with 5,000. That's your P. What else do we know? 7.2% interest. Remember, we're going to make that a decimal, 0.072. That's our R. How long will Larry have to wait until he has 3,000 more? Well, it says how long, so we're figuring out, and it says give answer in years and months. So we're figuring out our T. So that would be a T. Okay, that would be our variable. But have 3,000 more. That doesn't mean he's going to have 3,000 over here. That if we put 3,000 here, then he's went from 5,000 to 3,000. He's lost $2,000. What would we put over here for making 3,000 more? We would put $8,000. Okay. Now, that one would be exactly, you would work your way through this one just like we did on number 3 in the notes. So you can use what we just looked at in number 3 in the notes for help with that one. All right. Number 2, how much money do you need to deposit at 9%? So as soon as I see a percentage, I'm thinking 0.09. Compounded continuously to have 12,000 in your account in 6 years. So what is this 12,000? Is it beginning amount or ending amount? Well, since it says to have, I think that's the ending amount. And it says how much money will we need to deposit. That's our initial amount, so we don't know that. That's P. Okay. And our rate, we're going to put in a 0.09, and our time is 6. And again, I would multiply those two together. Okay. Then on that one, let me take a quick look. That one, you can actually use number 2 in the notes for help. Okay. Number 3, Davin invested $42,950 at his bank. Okay, right off the bat. Ending amount or beginning amount? He invested it at, that's got to be the beginning amount. Assuming interest rate of 2.6, so again, we will make that a decimal, 0.26. Compounded continuously tells us we're using PERT. How much money will Davin have after 7 years? So we'll put a 7 in here for our time. And how much money will he have after time? That's a future amount, so that's A. Again, I would multiply those two together, whatever that decimal is, and then I'll just punch all that in our calculator. That one is like Whoop, I'm looking at the wrong paper. That's why I paused. That's like number 1 on the notes. Okay. So you got an example, one of each in your notes. You can kind of follow along with the help. So this thing's already 10 minutes long. So we'll see. I'll get this to you in your email and I'll let you know. Or let me know then if you still have any further questions.